All right, class, this is my presentation on the Agarwal automobiles. Our overview for today is forecasting methods, fuel inventory management, application to different companies, and business decision making based on forecasting and predictability. Um, so the first question for the case was using Kenneth Kahn's framework. The three models were the qualitative, quantitative, and judgmental. Qualitative being subject, not using historical data, quantitative, primarily using historical data, and then judgmental, known information to use data to drive predictions, meaning may change depending on the data itself. So we're going to get into the particular companies compared to different framework data. So for the qualitative companies, not using historical data, you would think like technology or healthcare, and companies like DHL or Amazon would use quantitative data. This is primarily because historical data can allow them to predict certain markets for customers, and same thing with DHL for the cost of fuel and things like that for the logistics side. And then the last model for the judgmental would be like banks, meaning clients may be given certain opportunities not based on historical data, or clothing companies, which would be based more off of trends, and art companies, which would be more niche based off of customers willing to buy and popularity. But the forecasting approach we have, which is quantitative, is what we chose for the Kahn method. It allows for large amounts of historical data, improved forecasting accuracy. So when we built this analysis on the Excel spreadsheet, we chose the quantitative approach, applying the, I'm going to call it the MAPE model, um, increase in customer service levels and reduce overstock levels. The pros of this is moving average. It's easy to implement. The exponential smoothing can handle changes, and double exponential smoothing can capture trends accurately. The cons for these would be, for moving average, trends would be temporary. The exponential smoothing cons would be lags with sharp demand shift, and double exponential smoothing is does not handle temporary change as well. So forecasting models and results. So here we have the day average. I did it past day 4, so I did 7, 10, 14, and 21. And using the MAPE models for the diesel, petrol, and HSP, here's the data that I exported from the actual spreadsheet itself. As you can see, around day 10, 14, and 21, with these model averages for petrol here, these were the lowest MAPE results. Better forecasting methods. Um, the MAPE petrol, using the exponential smoothing or moving average, the lowest average was 11.2%. The diesel, using the moving average, lowest percentage was 22.2, and then the HSP exponential smoothing for that one, the lowest was 40.9% there. So factors beyond forecasting, utilizing these uh, methods to do analytical approaches. Beyond that would be things like long-term versus short-term outcomes. Long-term would be uh, technological advancements, consumer preferences, and strategic goals. Short-term could be affected by factors that could affect the forecasting, would be current world events, regulation, government regulation, and political changes, supply chain management alterations, and then transportation issues, maybe different supply chain policies and things like that. And then other external factors could be just in general disruptions, market entry, and supply chain constraints. And that is all.